Hey, you. So, on this episode of Hey Sparkplug, we're going to be having a really special episode where I'm joined by 5 of my grads from Side Hustle Academy to talk about their time in the course and the businesses that came from it. Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's so nice to see all of you.
Hi.
Super nice to see you too.
Hi, everyone.
This is great. It's just so weird. Like, I feel like this week has been really hard because I've been missing everybody so much because I haven't been teaching this week with students because everyone's graduated and I've been feeling it all week. I'm like, I miss everyone. So this is a nice treat to have all of you here. So special episode that we're talking about today is talking about some student stories and showcasing some businesses that have come through my course. And I really am thankful that all of you guys are here. So I think it'd be fun if everyone could kind of kick off by doing a little bit of like an intro, who you are, what your business is, why you're so fabulous, and we can go from there. So I think we're going to start with Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I own Fabrick Collective, which is an online shop that sells secondhand, donated, gently used kids' clothing, shoes, and gear. And 30% of proceeds go to support the Elizabeth Fry Society of Ottawa, which is a registered charity that advocates for and supports criminalized women in Ottawa. So helping them when they come out of jail and rebuild their lives.
Awesome. And who's next?
I'm Jess, and I do Ladies Go Local Virtual Ladies Night. So we help busy women to just be able to connect virtually through the joys of cooking and food, all while exploring and supporting local food-based businesses. And we've partnered with charities as well to be able to give back to the community. And basically, we serve anyone that identifies as a woman who's kind of missing that connection, who enjoys cooking and exploring new foods and supporting local. And so every month we do the virtual ladies night. We partner with different food-based businesses. So for instance, this coming month in June, we're going to be doing cookie kits. So we all get together over Zoom and we bake them together, and we have some chats and laughs and do some trivia games and stuff. So it's just a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yay. Hi, Jess. So, and next who do we have?
Yes, me. My name is Hélène, and I'm the owner, the CEO of Hélène Company. And I teach aspiring and experienced gardeners how to grow as much food as possible, both indoors and out, all year round. So, like some of my clients, they've been dreaming about living more sustainably and using their yard better and their space better so that they can grow their own food and stop going at the grocery store so much. And it's been amazing to see the transformation that they're going through. They're producing massively for their family, the food they want, and it's all organic and super tasty, even under the snow.
Yeah, I talk about you a lot with your business because when people always ask me examples and I kind of list off different ones, and I'm always like, and then there's Helene who grows food under the snow, and everybody's always like, what? Yeah. So we'll learn more about how you do that, I'm sure. So, and then welcome to my next guest.
Hi, I'm Natasha, and I am the owner and designer behind Down Home Designs, and I custom create one-of-a-kind drinkware. I generally call them keepsakes because they will last for so long. Nobody knows what I'm talking about when I bring it up, so I did bring an example. And by brought an example, I mean I always have a cup with me. And I will sell to anyone who needs a gift or is looking for something to spruce up their business and give clients. Just hit me up.
Yes. And so, and Natasha, to his point, if anyone who watches my lives, now and again, I like pick up a cup and I take a drink from it. And those are all custom designs by Natasha. So she does it really gorgeous stuff. It's super fun. And then our last guest, who is one of my 2 men in my program that I like talking about as well. So we always say, want to joke about like the brave souls. This is one of them. So hi, David.
Hi, I'm Dave. I'm a mobile massage therapist, and I go out to clients' homes to better help relieve their aches and pains, but also their emotional and physical stress that go on with their everyday life, being a parent at home or any of the current events that are going on really are stressful for so many people. So my main goal is to make sure that everyone gets that, how to say, this chance to have a personal moment for themselves so that they're not overwhelmed by the circumstances that are going on, either being a parent and feeling overwhelmed by that, or having to work from home and dealing with little people running around the house. I also want to apply Natasha as well. I have my own mug. I love it.
Yeah, there's a bit of an ecosystem that happens, I think, within the students. Like everyone starts supporting each other in business pretty early on. So it's a really nice way to start building your first business out. So I know the backstories of everybody, of course, but I think for anyone who is, taking part in this episode today and really kind of wanting to know a little bit about the journey, where were you in your business development when you decided to join me as a student? Like, as it's kind of a question I get asked a lot is, do you only work with people who have ideas, or do you work with people who have established businesses? So everyone's was a bit different coming in, but what was your journey? And just feel free to jump in. There's no order to this, so you can speak up at any point.
I didn't have a business before. I thought I had a business, but I've learned from Jan that I actually had a hobby that I was trying to make money off of. I'm a very unfocused kind of person. I tend to flit everywhere, which I think I try to say it's just an artist thing. But I was just throwing money at craft supplies, buying everything, throwing everything up on my site. It was a mess. So I don't think I was anywhere in my business, but I thought I was.
Well, I feel lucky enough as a massage therapist. There's a lot of businesses going around having steady, stable enterprises. And one of the big issues that I found for myself is that being a father of 2 kids at home, having a wife, and basically a whole family that really had lots of demand for my time, I wasn't able to keep up with being on call or having appointments, and especially people who didn't show up or things like that. So it became to the point where I kept getting frustrated, and I was pretty much job hopping, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I got back into massage therapy a little bit more full time once I had lost my job due to COVID. And that really gave me a little kick in the butt to try to figure out how to make my business work. And eventually I just found my way to, well, with my wife's help, I'll be honest, I was able to find my way to Jan and go from just trying to make it work to actually having a full-blown plan about what I want to do for the next 5 years and how I'm going to grow what I plan to do in 5, 10, even 15 years if all goes well. If my hands can keep up with the demand though.
Yeah. You can start a team though by then, so you can just sit there and you can be the actual CEO and delegate it all out, Dave.
That's one of the plans that I'm trying to get to eventually. Not there yet.
Perfect. Who else?
I'm kind of like Natasha too. Like I didn't really have, like my idea was something pretty much completely different when I first started with you, Jan. I had originally an idea for like doing children's online classes, like kind of learning mixed with some fun activities and stuff. But for whatever reason, I wasn't really, I guess my heart wasn't really in it. So I had booked a call with Jan and we did some brainstorming, and that's how Ladies Go Local kind of came about, just kind of combining my passion for food and, you know, supporting local food-based businesses with my my kind of desire to kind of connect with friends and just like missing that connection and stuff. So yeah, I'm kind of the same as Natasha. Like I just had like a little something. I knew something was brewing, but I just needed like Jan's expertise and confidence boost. Yeah.
In my case, I had a business before. So I created a nonprofit organization a few years ago. But it's so different, so different than having a for-profit business.
Mhm.
So when I started the first course with you, Jan, I knew what my niche was, and that's it. I didn't have, my brand wasn't developed. I didn't have, I had done some of the work, some of the groundwork to figure out who my ideal customer avatar is, and what were the needs, but I really had no idea, so there was a lot of the business development aspect that had not been started.
What about you, Sarah?
Mine was, I would say, very embryonic. It had been developing in my head for a really long time, probably about a year. But I couldn't take any action or do anything concrete to get to where I wanted to go.
Mhm.
And I think it was a combination of some mindset blocks about moving into business from being in academia before that.
Mhm.
And also just the practicalities, like how do you even start? What's the first thing you should do? Is it going to be profitable? All those kind of questions. And so I was just kind of spinning my wheels. And I think that summer, in the middle of a pandemic, I think I was just like, okay, I got nothing else to lose. I need to really reach out and start doing something. And you were there at exactly the right time. Yeah.
So it's a good segue to the next question, though, is really asking, like, what was it? So all of you came through Side Hustle Academy with me, and which is now being, Side Hustle Academy has now been retired, and I have my new course that's come out. So it's called Ignite. And so Ignite is going to be, is opening doors up this month, but which is basically just a Side Hustle Academy and more. But what was it that kind of like, why did you choose to join me inside of it? So like, what was it specifically you were looking for in supporting your businesses, and what was like maybe some of your expectations or hopes that you would kind of get out when you were, got inside the program?
Didn't really have much to go for. It was basically just a idea. I knew that I wanted something that was more sustainable than just going out, seeing friends and family once in a while for a massage. And
Mm-hmm.
I needed something to actually help support my family, considering everything that's going on with my personal family. There's just so much that I couldn't deal with having a full-time 9-to-5 job. It wasn't going to work for us. So the ability to be mobile was the key aspect that I had, but I had no idea. I was just swimming along and trying to figure out, like, okay, well, I'm just going to try to be as open to everyone as possible. But I was lucky enough to follow the boot camp, and that really got me into understanding where I wanted to go and what was going on with what I'm doing, in what's good, what's wrong, and how I can improve. But everything after the boot camp was like, I just can't do this without Jan anymore. Like, I have so many ideas, but I need more support. So I decided to go with the Side Hustle Academy, and I really don't regret, because it's been marvelous. It really was just that little extra push that made me go from I'm just trying to wade through the muck of what's going on and to actually have a full-blown business plan. I'm really proud of that now.
You should be proud of it. I think all of you should be really, really proud of how hard you've worked to get to where you are now. I'm very proud of all of you. You know that. So who else? Jess, what brought you in? Like, what was it that kind of made you say, this is where I want to go, and this is what kind of the supports that I need to get there?
Me, Jan?
Yes, you. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think because I had done the boot camp as well. And so I knew, like I said before a little bit, like I knew something was brewing, like I could just feel it. I don't know if that's weird or not, but I just kind of knew that something big could happen. I just didn't know exactly what yet. So I just decided to kind of go for it. And then we also had that conversation, like the one-on-one conversation where we brainstormed and stuff. But yeah, my expectations going in were just to kind of just see what happens, because I just found it so, like, even with the boot camp and everything, like, the information, like just learning about business and all the information that you give and everything, like it's so interesting to me, which I never knew that I was so interested in it. So I thought, you know what, even if, you know, I don't get a business from it, you know, nothing comes out of it, that's okay, because I'm learning like some really interesting information that, you know, it's a good learning experience for me either way. So yeah.
I was just like you, you know, like when I joined, I needed a roadmap. Okay. On that, like, how do you even do this? Like, you can't just, well, I guess you could just try to swing it, but what is the result going to be, right? It's not a good idea. No. So I wanted to take this seriously and do a good job at it. And so, but it was a surprise for me too, like to notice how much I was hungry for this information, and I loved it. Like, I actually loved the business side as much as I love the gardening side, which is a lot to say, because I mean, my life is about gardening and sustainability and all of that. So yeah, it was a huge surprise, but it was a roadmap. Like, what are the steps, you know, to be able to do a website, for example, design it and build it without having to spend $3,000 on it, you know? So it was great, because like all the advice that you're giving, they work. Like, if you do everything that Jen teaches you to do, you're going to see the results. Like, there's no way you don't see the results. You just have to take notes and do the steps, you know, and then just be proud of yourself for having digested like a lot of new information that might feel uncomfortable at first, because every week we're doing something we've never done before. Mm-hmm. And it's terrifying, but then you break through and you're like, what? I did this? Look how good it looks, you know? So yeah.
I was not this, like, I'm not the same. I still dislike the business side of it. And that's the great thing though about the Side Hustle Academy that I found, is that I don't like it, but I can still do it. And I can still do it in a way that feels good, even if I'm not like, yeah, it's business time, guys.
That's right. Value proposition. Yeah.
Right. Like, for me, I was another boot camper, and it's a roadmap, but I would go further and say it's actually a breadcrumb trail. Like, you just give us little bits to work on, and it's less overwhelming than here's a course, good luck, read through it, do your work. Maybe you can check in with the course creator once during the program. But with the academy and the boot camp, it was, you do your value proposition and then you get feedback on it. So before you go to the next step, you know that you've got it solid, and there's not a lot of that backtracking. I still backtracked a lot, but that's a me thing. I'm an overthinker and a perfectionist. And so I did go back, but I can only imagine if I didn't have Jan and I only had paper, like, I would still be writing my value proposition. So
yeah. I think it's one of the things, like when I talk to a lot of you as well, we go through it as, you know, I don't think enough people, I don't talk about it actually enough of how much support actually occurs within the program, and that it's not just a here's your course and I'll do a live with you every now and again, that there is, like, I'm a silent partner in your business as you're building it. Someone said that to me and I was like, that's the best way to describe it. So
you said that on your podcast. I was listening to it this morning.
Yeah.
And I kind of laughed because I joked that my mother is my silent partner as well. So when you said that, I was like, nice, two partners. Let me go.
No, I really do have to agree. I went in just thinking, okay, well, before the boot camp, I just thought, okay, I'm going to follow what's available on social media platforms and we'll see how that goes. But once I found boot camp, I was like, oh, this isn't just like the same information rehashed and refed to me. No, it's completely thought out, planned out. It's not just about the numbers, and to have support. I didn't have much to work with at first. I had a lot to work on, and after the boot camp, it was like, okay, I know this can go much further than what I already have. So jump in. And from the first course, from the first lesson, I was like, okay, this is a lot of information. I really have to go back through it and ask questions. And it became just so clear and simple because I wasn't alone doing it. So if ever there's any questions, it's always like, okay, well, who else is there? And I can look at what others wrote and rethink, like, what have I done that's good? What have I done that's not so good? And I get direct support or feedback, like, okay, this needs to be reworked. And I can even ask Jan, like, so what have I done wrong? And I get direct feedback. And there's so much support and help, and not just from other students in the same course, but from people who have graduated before. And there's a network there behind that we don't always take advantage of. I'm sad about that.
Yeah, I've been calling it the ecosystem now. Like, that's my new phrase that I'm referring to it. I'm like, it's the ecosystem. That's really what it is, right? It's where everything comes in and everybody grows together in this really wonderful collective, and really beautiful things come out of it, and great friendships and great partnerships, but really good business. And I think that's really what's been so neat about watching the changes. Because I think one of the things too, like, again, backstory that I know about everyone is that everyone here you're all parents. So everyone is a parent, and everybody is right now, because of where we're all located, it's currently, we're in some really difficult lockdowns for a very long period of time. So almost everybody has kids at home right now, and you're trying to grow your business while you're homeschooling and while you're taking care of little people and while you're doing all of that. And so I think that aspect of it is, as well as, like, how has that been? And I think that we had, like, the honest conversations about, the trying to build a business while you're trying to raise humans. Like, how has that journey been? Because I know it's not easy. And I think we don't talk actually enough about how hard it actually is.
I'll talk about it.
I know you will.
It's awful. I have two sons. My oldest is almost 8 and my youngest is 5. They are so different from each other. It's astounding. If I hadn't birthed them and kept them by my side after I had them, I would think they were switched. Like, one of them is not mine. But it's been hard. My oldest has very, very severe anxiety, and trying to find help during the pandemic is a full-time job in itself. A lot of psychologists aren't seeing children anymore, which, like, the worst time to decide that. But I've been doing that while trying to get my business going. And it's just, I up some nights until midnight. I'm an early riser as it is. I'm usually up by 4:30 without an alarm. So I do a lot of work between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. and then 4:30 and 6:30.
Yeah. And
it's exhausting. And the only thing that has kept my business going is those little steps. And I don't remember when you said it, Jan. I just remember you saying that small bits of progress are still progress. And as long as you're just doing a little bit every day, you're still going to be moving forward. Even if it's not as quickly as you would like, it's always better to kind of go slowly than to catapult over things.
Yeah.
So I just keep telling myself that when I feel that productivity pulling, that I'm doing okay.
You are doing okay.
I have lots of cups to hold lots of drinks, so it's fine.
I gotta agree with Natasha. It's been so hard, like, with the lockdowns, having kids at school, specific needs for a lot of people. My oldest just can't watch a screen with other kids asking questions that he finds redundant. So I have trouble being at the desk and actually working, because every 4 or 5 minutes I gotta turn and look at my son and be like, hey, what are you doing? Are you focusing? So that takes me away from my focus, and then I get distracted because he's messing around, and it's just a vicious cycle. And then he starts asking questions, and I think, well, you're watching me work and you're not doing work yourself, but you're doing what I'm doing. I have to stop what I'm doing to see what you're doing. And it really was difficult. So I decided I'd put that a little bit on hold for my business to be able to focus mostly on my family. Doesn't mean I was stopping. Like Natasha said, little bits of progress are still progress. So it's not about trying to catch up. And that's a huge part of my mindset that was just so wrong. I'm not trying to catch up with anything. I'm intentionally putting it not on hold, but I'm slowing things down so I can actually manage my life. And that's okay. You don't have to rush through it. You don't have to be the first one off the line. As long as you make it till the end, every little step forward is great. There's setbacks in every kind of business, and no one's perfect. You're gonna stumble and sometimes you're gonna fall, and you just got to get back up and keep going. And this is one of those moments. These lockdowns have been really, really difficult. And I actually see it with my business. You know, I have hands-on experience with people. I get to hear as a bartender, as a hairdresser would. That's what I'm doing now because people don't have many people to talk to. So I'm hearing about it a lot. And I've heard about horror stories about families living out in the country, barely even having internet and having to do team meetings and all that, and just doesn't work for them. So that's additional stress. I have to try to make sure that the kids are still following, and it's too stressful for them. And I understand, like, this is really hard. And I think of what I've been hearing throughout the course, it's okay to slow things down. You can even put your career on hold or pause it or whatever. You just slow down to make sure that your family's safe and actually functional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Sorry, someone's gonna speak. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that was well said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no, very well said. And it's true. And it's one of the reasons why, like, because we've had so many conversations kind of like within the students about like, how can I find the time to be able to work on my business, like, you know, around nap times and schedules and then, you know, online learning and things like that. And we talk a lot about that. And it's one of those gaps that I realized that, you know, nobody actually teaches about how to do that, which is why I'm putting the new module in to the new course that's specifically about learning how to find the time while you're a parent to be able to do this. And you know, again, but exactly what you said, right? You can build a successful business on 1 hour a day. It'll take you longer, yes, but that doesn't mean it's not going to get you there. You're still going to get there. So it's just, you know, again, knowing what to work on and when to work on it. And that's the stuff that gives you the clarity and reduces the stress about a lot of it. So on those, the hardest part, because I know the hardest part is definitely going to be, that was going to be it. If I asked that question, I think probably everybody be like, oh, trying to figure out how to do this with my kids has been definitely the most challenging part of it. But what's been the things in the business that you feel the most proud of, like of your own journey and your own development of, you know, being able to sit here now and say like, you know, I own my own business. I'm a CEO. I'm doing CEO stuff now. Like how does that feel? Somebody speak up.
I was waiting for Hélène to go because she didn't answer the last question. So I thought she was going to go first.
Yes, okay. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think it's only, so you see, I launched my business 2 months ago. Since last week, it's the first time that I actually call myself a CEO. So there's really this mind shift that happens, especially if, you know, like if you're like me, like before I had like a really successful career as a professional engineer in the nuclear industry, completely different, right? And then I left my career to be at home with the kids, and I stayed for a number of years. And even though I did start a business, I wasn't the CEO, you know, even though I was doing a lot of the CEO work, there's still this kind of, you know, identity you cut out for yourself, you know, and then if you re-enter the workforce at a much lower salary than what you used to, you know, and then you have trouble seeing yourself as I'm the boss. I have my own business. I'm the CEO. Yes, I can do this. Like, I mean, the amount of the amount of pep talk I had to do on a daily basis to overcome the paralyzing fear that I had about starting my business was like crazy. I would work while listening to YouTube motivational videos for entrepreneurs all day, and then in the evenings I would have Jan's course and then work on my business, slowly and all that. But yeah, I think it's this gap I find, like I really jumped to the next level in my head, and it shows with how I project myself when I do lives, for example, how I talk about my business now on, like, I feel like I'm on solid ground. I can explain what I do, and this is great. I feel like I leveled up,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
the point too, so you've only been operating now, like you said, for about 2 months, but just for reference for everyone. So you started from scratch with nothing, and now 2 months later, where are you within your business? You have how many people now working for you?
So I have 2 employees.
Yeah.
And I have 2 employees. But like that's another thing. It's such a big learning curve, doing business. It's almost like you have to consider it's like you're at university all the time. Yes. You're always learning, always reevaluating, okay, here are the cards that I have as of today. What do I need to improve? What do I need to fix? Like the pandemic, like I hired my 2 employees, and then a month later, Quebec and Ontario in full lockdown mode. I'm like, whoa, okay, wait a second. Like and then I had to homeschool my 6-year-old, and my 3-year-old was at home as well. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like, I don't remember when was there a time in history when both parents were expected to work full time, homeschool, and be daycare? It's never happened before. I don't think so anyway, so. But the nice thing about being an entrepreneur is that you get to decide, like, what do you change in your business to make it possible to get through this period that's more challenging, So, yeah.
Yeah. Sarah, what about you? Oh, sorry, David. I just go to Sarah for a second. I'll come back. What about you, Sarah? Like because again, your journey too, and I think it's really important to say is, you came from an academic world, and you have an incredible education behind you, an incredible amount of nonprofit charitable experience. And this is the first, like, coming in and saying, like, again, brand new to the world of business, like, for-profit business. And what's been like your journey of being, where you look at yourself and you're like, man, look at me go. Like, I'm really proud of this.
Yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster, I have to say. But
yes,
but I'm incredibly proud that it's a living, breathing thing. Like, I made this thing from nothing. It was an idea, and through all those hundreds and hundreds of small little steps and risks, and trying this and trying that and asking for advice, and all those things added up to a real business that's making money, and that's actually, contributing real dollars to an organization that I really care about. And it did that from the first day. And that's what you had said. If you follow this program, you will make money on your first day of business. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm really, proud that I made it happen, and have been able to donate money from the beginning. So that's been really great. And just overcoming so many tech hurdles, that has been really good for my confidence, and also, I think, as Hélène said earlier, saved so much money. I mean, we went through a few things in the Side Hustle Academy about how to kind of do your own branding, your own design, and that kind of thing has saved me so much money and time. And building my own website, again, thousands of dollars, learning photography and editing and things myself, and just having that mindset that you can do things yourself. Don't spend a ton of money to launch a business, like, bootstrap it, and
lean.
Lean. And it's been fun. Like, I like learning all this stuff, and I did not know that about myself before.
That's awesome.
So it's obviously had its stressors, and fitting things in around everything else is really, really hard, and so frustrating when you feel like you know where you're going, you know what you want to do next, and you just can't get that space in your life. You can't get the time, you can't get the clear runway of things to work on. But you know, I have hope that in a few months that will open up a little bit more. And then, you know, in the meantime, the community has been really life-saving, just to have that kind of touchstone of everybody else is going through the same thing. And I can see other women and men doing the same thing, like dealing with the same stresses, but you know, there will be an end.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, not fast enough, but it is coming. Yeah. Dave, what were you going to say before I jumped in on there?
That's okay. I really like what Hélène said. Basically, the fact that as an entrepreneur, I get to make my time. That's the biggest reason why I didn't want to continue to work for a company, either as an employee or as a contractor. It was always being on call. So now I'm prioritizing my family. I work my schedule around my family. If that means I gotta cancel appointments because someone's sick, it's okay. I'm the one to take the blame. It's not a company that's going to get mad at me. I'm not disappointing like 20 clients because I had to cancel for pandemic reasons. Like it's not something that I can say, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. It's more like, hey, this is my decision. And the clients that I work with understand this. It's not something that it's people I don't know. And even if that's the case, I can still communicate with them. I have the ability to be myself and be confident in who I am. And also, I've gone from just not knowing where I was going to having a clear idea. Like, this is big for me. I'm someone who's always been running around just trying to make ends meet, job hopping from one job to the other, just to make sure that my family had enough. And at this point, I'm thinking, no, I'm okay. I'm going to make it. It's not easy. It's never going to be easy, but it never gets easier. You get better. That's really what it is. And it's becoming clear every single time I keep working on my business. I'm still working on my website. I'm still working on learning social media. I'm terrible with that. Very, very bad. But I'm catching up, and I've got support from my wife, from the rest of the community. And it's helping me understand better what I can do and how I can make it better. And I feel confident in what I post now. Like, I'm really happy, and I'm actually getting a couple people steal my ideas. So yes, you did mention
that's the sign, right? That's it. That's the moment. And I talk about this with you guys all the time. You know, I've said it to everyone. And when the minute you start seeing somebody copying you, you know you figured something out. The minute that happens, you're like, there it is. There, you're taking my secret sauce. That's what you're trying to do. So that's success.
It's a good sign too, because you know, someone found that what I did was valuable enough to recreate or to share. So it's not just what I do that's valuable, it's what I've brought to the world.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, like, this picture has been going around a little too much, but I'm actually proud of that fact. It's a little bit of a guilty pleasure at the same time.
Yeah.
I feel you on that, Dave.
One of the things too, I think is so interesting, and is that everybody has built a business because of something that you're very passionate about. So there's a real connection to giving back in some way. And I think that, you know, understanding what that give back is, or understanding how to be able to bring joy into someone's life or create community or do that. And like, I would say that across the board of every single business that's come through Side Hustle Academy has been a business for good in some way, like very purpose driven, regardless of whatever it was on the other end of it. And just like, I know with you, Jess, you're really supporting a lot of local business. So, because you're Ottawa based where your business is, and and you really are, like, you've leaned into saying, like, this is my model, right? This was a key piece of your business model. It wasn't just like an afterthought. Why is it, like, for you, why has it become so important to build a business that is creating and supporting community connection?
I think for me, and we chatted about it on our live together too, just especially given the times right now, like, I just felt like it was important to do my part in some way, as much as I could. You know, I know it's just a small part, but, and I felt the connection like with the food-based businesses. I've always been like, I used to be in that industry, maybe a decade ago, but so I have a connection there and, love trying new foods, exploring foods. So I just kind of made sense, and it kind of like, it was I guess near and dear to my heart. So that's kind of where that came about. But yeah, just being able to give back to the community and to the businesses that are kind of being hurt by COVID and everything, just kind of trying to do the little bit that I could.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the same for you too, Sarah, as well. Like I can say it to everybody. I probably will ask every one of you the question, but your connection as well to, because you're running a full-fledged social enterprise, and that's what your business is, like right down the line. And you had that plan in your head from day one as well.
Yeah, it was very much 50-50. Like it had to be something that would be sustainable for me to do it. It needs to make money so that it's so that I can spend the time on it, but equally it needs to make some sort of difference for criminalized women, which is the population that I particularly care about, just having had such a long history of interviewing women and men in prison and seeing the harms that has caused long term. And so because this organization helps people rebuild their lives, provides housing when they get out of prison, and I just wanted to make sure that I was doing something that actually could make a difference. And so the money that I raise goes towards improving housing to make it feel more like home. Mm-hmm. And I think that gives you a sense of dignity. It gives a sense that the community cares about you, that they want you to do well. And yeah, so it's really been completely 50-50 from the beginning. It has to make a difference, and it has to be sustainable for me and for eFry. I want it to be a recurring source of revenue for them, that it can be counted on, because there've been so many, funding cuts and difficulties over the years, just a constant struggle. And, it's small at the moment, but I'm hoping with time and as I scale, I can make more of a contribution.
Yeah. And it will. Like, I think that's the same too. Like everyone, I've heard a couple of people say now, my small part.
Yeah.
There's no small in it, right? Because
for a start,
Yeah. Because if you weren't here, it wouldn't be here, right? Like if your business did not exist, then you would not be providing services to the people that you're caring about, or bringing joy to somebody because you made something that's so fantastic and glittery and wonderful to look at, right? That you bring joy to someone's life. And that's what I think, again, I believe so strongly in, is that, your business should be led by your passion, but you need to have the profit mentality behind it as well. And so you connect the two, like that's the sweet spot. Like that's where the magic happens. And I think you're all examples of magical businesses where you have all connected your passion to profit, and like, look at you go. Like, it's incredible to watch you guys go and how you've grown so much. So my last question I'm going to ask you, and I always I'm curious to hear what everyone has to say, because this isn't something that I have asked anyone before. I think I've asked Jess this one question once, but that's it. But what would you tell other people right now who are thinking maybe about starting their own business, but they might be sitting in that place of, I'm afraid I can't do it, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to be successful, or like I don't have the time, like, kind of like doing the self-doubt talk. What advice would you give to them now, as like, you've done it, you've gone through it, and you're here?
I'd say just do it. Do it, but do it strategically, and don't do it alone.
Yeah, don't rush in head first with a harebrained idea. Just think, okay, how can I make this work, and not trying to force your way through it and just go through any kind of hurdles. You have things you have to start working on, and get a foundation done by learning and being strategic about what you want. Because if you have no idea what you got to do, you're just going to end up having a patchwork business that's going to collapse on itself whenever there's an issue. And you can't always patch everything. If you have a solid foundation, you actually have something to work on, and anything that goes after that, you've got something to bounce back from.
Yeah. I would say like you're more capable than you may think. Like I had a lot of doubt and like the fear and stuff, like, is this going to be well received? Where's this going to go from here? But I think if you kind of just, you need to talk with Jan for that confidence boost, but you're probably more capable than you think. And it's probably more possible than you think. Like that, for at least for me anyways, like the mental kind of block was the most, like that's kind of what I had to get through the most. So that's kind of what I would say. Yeah.
I would say every successful entrepreneur has felt the way you feel today. But the difference is that they didn't let that stop them. So at some point, you gotta sit down at your computer, sign up for that course, or like you gotta take the steps and stop the self-talk. Like it's still there. Just ignore it. Ignore it and forge ahead. Like take the next step and look at it like incremental steps. You know, what is it that I can do today that will bring me closer to, you know, fulfilling my dreams of being an entrepreneur? What is it? What's the next step? Take that one step. And then tomorrow, go through that same question while you have all that self-talk in the background. What's the next step? You know, and take that step that day. You just got to take it one day at a time, but you have to stop being inactive and just think about your dream, because there are a whole bunch of people that can dream all their lives and never fulfill their dreams.
Yeah.
And
I
Sarah?
completely agree about the taking action. I think like it's the only way to go forward. Otherwise, you're stuck in your head the whole time. At least that's how I was. And I would say you can't operate in a vacuum. You need feedback. You need to put it out there, talk about it, talk about your ideas, talk about your sticking points, what you want, and get feedback from people who actually know what they're talking about or who are going through the same thing. And just, little steps, get feedback, and eventually it will become very clear through doing that you know, you're at kind of a tipping point. So you might as well just step off that cliff.
Lean into it. Yeah.
Lean into it. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
It's scary, but you got to start somewhere. You're never going to move if you don't move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels you have to be vulnerable to do that. It's very hard to put your ideas out there. Very hard, which is why it's nice to have nice, supportive people around you when you're doing that.
You never want to put your ideas too far forward in case someone might steal them. But when you've got the right mindset and you're confident about what you do, you talk to the right people, you're going to get that support from somewhere. I was lucky enough to find the Side Hustle Academy, and I found a fantastic group of people, especially women. And I didn't think I would fit in. And I'm lucky enough that not only I was accepted, but I don't feel like I'm out of place. And I understand how some people can feel excluded. And quite frankly, I just didn't feel like I was good enough for this kind of job, considering I'm a guy in a female-dominated business. I've gotten the opposite end of a lot of feedback, and I had to take a step, and I didn't feel like anything was going to happen, and I decided to go for it. Too bad. I'm not going to look back. I'm not going to try to figure out what went wrong or why it wasn't working. I'm just going to forge ahead and think, okay, how can I make this work? And that's where I was at first, and I'm far beyond that now.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Any last things you want to add in?
I do.
Okay.
I think when you're thinking about starting a business, the overwhelm is real. It really is. Like, you think about all of the things you have to do. So, I'm going to start a business. I have to buy supplies. I have to start social media accounts. I have to start a website, and it snowballs and you panic. And so I think that finding somebody, and for me, I was lucky. I was led to Jan by a friend, and her way of teaching works for me. But you have to find the person that is teaching the way that works for you and get them to help you. Don't try to take it all on your own. You need to unwrap that overwhelm and get out of it, and then just go.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Just go. Yeah. And I know, I think it's like getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think that is the state of where you need to be at when you're growing your own business. And there are days that are really hard, and it isn't all sunshine and roses, and it's not overnight success stories. And it's not like the stuff that we see portrayed so much. It's like, it's real, right? There are struggles and concerns and worries, and there's lean days when you're not making enough money and trying to figure out how to make more of it. But you get there, and you get there, I think, if you have a strategy in place that's successful. You get there if you have the right attitude in place. You get there because you are just so determined to be successful. You get there. So all of you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. You're just fantastic. I'm so proud of all of you, and congratulations on your journey and watching your growth. And it's just truly, I'm all goosebumpy about it. I just think all of you are so remarkable. So thanks for being part of my world and my community. And thank you for coming today to let me talk a little bit with you about how wonderful you all are.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jen.
You're the best.
We love you.
I love you too. Oh, just like goosebumpy. I love that episode so much. I just think it's just incredible. And I really want to say thank you to all of you. So thanks, Dave and Natasha and Sarah and Jessica and Helene, for joining me. It really is it's been an honor to be able to work with you, and such an incredible joy to watch your businesses grow and develop and bloom, and all the success that you're having and are going to continue to have. So congratulations to all of you. So that's it for another episode. Some fun things that are happening. So next week on May 25th, I'm actually opening up doors to my free challenge called the CEO Prep School. And I'm going to be walking people through 5 days of training about some key things you need to know if you're starting a business for the first time, and really invested in actually like getting it to go somewhere and getting that passion of yours moving in the right direction so you can start putting some profit behind it. So I'm going to talk about that, and you can find out all the information about that at janditchfield.co/prep school. It's going to be a great one. I've always run this really awesome boot camp before I open up doors to Side Hustle Academy. And this time I'm actually narrowing it down, and I'm putting it into like 5 days instead of being over the 30-day period I normally do. I think everyone's just kind of like, we're tapped out a bit, and we still need the help, but we all need it like bite-sized, rapid, like tell me what I need to know so I can implement it. So I've designed the challenge completely around that. So CEO Prep School is 5 days of fast action stuff, things you really, really need to know about. I'm getting deep on 5 specific areas. And so I'm going to talk about, how defining a problem, value propositions, unique advantage. I'm going to talk about ethics in business and how to actually start your business right from the start with your ethics in place and why that matters so much. And then I'm going to talk about how to grow a business while you're taking care of children, and really looking at the time management and understanding how you can really build a business effectively on just a few hours a day, but still be able to keep that needle moving forward. So totally would love you to join me. Come register, get in. It's free. It's awesome. I'm leaving it all there for you. I'm going to give you tons of value, and I know you'll walk away really appreciating it. And also, doors open again, so to Side Hustle Academy this month. And I originally had been talking that I was like, I'm retiring the course. I'm going to be coming out with a new one. I'm retiring it. And I had such feedback from that where people were like, no, you can't. Like, we've been waiting to take it. We're on the list. Please don't do that. So I was like, all right, I'm listening. You are heard. I am not retiring Side Hustle Academy. I am going to be continuing to do it. I've just added some new modules to it. So Side Hustle Academy shall continue. Doors officially open on May 27th. Jump in. There's 4 new modules that are included with it. So it's going to be beefed out a little bit more as well from what it was. Focusing a bit on sales, doing again some work on ethics, doing some work on time management as parents running businesses. And then there's actually an entire module of mentorship from me. So I become a module in the course now, and I go through your entire business plan with you. I'm going to help you through every aspect of it in a private, individualized way so that when you launch your business, you're ready to go. Like, you are set. You've fixed your mistakes. You can just focus on selling. That's all you need to worry about. So that's opening up as well. You'll find out all the information about that, janditchfield.co/Side Hustle Academy. Thanks again for joining me this week. I really always appreciate your time and value you so much. And I really appreciate that you come back. I can't wait to see you again, same time, same place next week. And until then, Spark Plug, keep building something magical.